What's up, ladies and gents, and welcome to 2 Point Museum, a game where you are tasked to lead your own museum, find exhibits, get guests, make it enjoyable for them, satisfy your customers, and create the best museum that you can to your liking. Today we are going to look at how to get started into your first of many museums, look at some of the very basic mechanics that help you get started, and just ease you into the game a little bit. For starters, we will look at what is the game, what is your goal, and what are you even trying to do. Now, you start off the game with the ticket booths where you have assistants that sell tickets. People want to come into your museum if your level of the museum is higher and higher, the more visitors are coming. How do you increase the museum level? You get more exhibits, as you can see right here. How you find them, how you can do that, more to that later. But that is the basic principle of the game. You get more exhibits in better qualities, excite the people coming in, the visitors. The more excited they are, the more they are going to donate in these donation stands, and the more visitors are coming, giving you more money, allowing you more options. In the end, this is basically the same principle for all the museums and what you are trying to do. So the first mechanic we are looking into is the helipad. The helipad is where you start your expeditions, and with expeditions you get these little fossils, the dinosaur bones, and everything else that you start exhibiting in your museum. In order to start an expedition, you have to click on the helipad, where you have your little helicopter here, and you start the expedition. Now on your first map, you start with the greasy fields here, and then unlock more and more possibilities throughout the map for places where you can go. There are several qualities that you can find things in, the best being pristine. And unless you already have your things in pristine quality, you might want to keep going to the same area to improve them. The better the quality, the more excited your visitors, the more they are going to donate, giving you more money. In the end, here on the reward tab, you can see what is available in each location. It's going to be different rewards. And then you can also see in which quality you found it. Which means if you go to a location, you go to rewards and you see, oh, there might be something not pristine yet, there is still room for improvement, and you can just send expedition after expedition to try to find a better quality reward here. Not only can you improve your rewards with every further expedition until you have everything in pristine quality, you also get events in each location. Clicking on each location shows you the events. They can also differ from season to season, and you can see which events can happen. Green events are usually positive, red events are bad. As you can see here, you have different qualifiers here. For example, if you see a number up here, you can hover the mouse over there and you see combined rank of 5 needed to counter this event, which means the level of your employees that you are using, in this case a prehistory expert, has to be at least 5. The level can be seen here. And if we click on that guy, you can see it is immediately removed because you reached at least level 5. Then here you have, as a counter, the survival skill, and this guy has the survival skill. More on the skills later on, but if you choose the correct crew, you can eliminate a lot of these bad events straight out the gate. Then you have cargo, which you can pick here. This is what you start off with. You can either remove an injury event, have more XP for all staff, and sometimes that also helps with events. If we say that wasn't intentional, might be one. Here, for example, there is a negative one, which also has the book. If we start it now and we equip the book, you can see the negative one has been countered. So whenever you see a negative event, hover over with the mouse and you get an explanation on how you are able to avoid that. One thing I found out is that the negative events will happen if you rule everything out. Not all of them happen at once. You can see here one of these events will happen on the expedition. I did a little bit of testing, and for example on this one I set it up like this. That gives us these 3. Always one of these happened. The thing is, I can either enable this one, which gives me one of these 3, and in all likelihood one of the 2 injuries, or I can remove this because I do not have a crew at level 10 yet. And in the end, I'm just not going to avoid the negative ones. Unfortunately, one of them will happen, so if only this one is available, this one will happen every time. That's how this that's how this mechanic works. And then you just keep sending your people. One thing I can definitely advise you on is keep sending the helicopter. You need more and more things to exhibit in your museum, because then your level is rising and you get more and more money. So just keep flying it up. Also for the later stages of the game, you do want some of them in your inventory. They will come in useful later on in the game. But now we're just trying to get started. As we have just seen with our employees, they have certain skills. These skills can be taught to them in the training library, which is a room that you can create later on. Here, the training room. As your employees are doing different things, going on expeditions, working in the museum, your staff is rising in their level. You can find the level here next to your name, next to their name, in the staff screen down here. Here you can see everyone, and here you can see the training slots they have available. They unlock one at rank 1, which they start with, rank 5, 10, 15 and 20. And at each time you can give them a new skill here in your training library. There are different ways to use the training library. You can either click directly on the library, open the training menu and check for people that can get an upgrade. Unfortunately, it also shows people that can't currently get anything. So for example, if you click here and you can see we haven't unlocked that slot yet, you can't use that. So I'm not entirely sure why it shows everyone, but you can see here when they have these empty slots, you can just pick someone, pick one of the skills, you can just click on them and see what they are doing. And if you say have someone that is working in the ticket booth, then you of course want them to sell the tickets efficiently. If you have someone doing all of these expeditions, then you want them to have skills helping with that. For this you can check which events can you get and which skills do you need to counter them. So for example, with him we already have survival skills. Here as well, this is another survival skill. And then you can just do one thing after another, which helps you counter negative events. Or if you want to do it differently, you can click on the staff and pick the person that you want to train, click on them, click on the open training menu, and then you come here as well. It works the same way. This is how you can improve your personnel. Just bear in mind, whenever you train them, they will want more money. On the other hand, they will be a lot more happy if you train them, and if you never train them and they just keep leveling up, their happiness is going down. The trainings also bring us to the next screen for our staff. You go to the staff menu again, scroll down to someone that you want to look at. In this case, we are going to look at this person here, because it's the best example we can show at the moment. And here you have an overview of everything that this staff member has as important information. So the level it is currently on, the XP required, the current trainings it has, the happiness level and what is required to improve it. So for example, we need a drink, we need some food, we need a toilet. That is currently decreasing it. Current satisfaction with the pay is 61%, could be better, could be worse. The jobs that are currently allowed to be done, so she's in the ticket booth right now, which is what it shows here. Feeling fine, those are the traits. Everyone has, well, most people have traits. These are two positive ones, which is good. Some have negative traits as well. And here's some about their employment time. On the next page, you can see the general mood. This is already summed up on this, but just a little bit more elaborate: energy, food, toilet, drinks. So this is just a little bit more detailed than what you can see on the first page, but generally speaking, the same. Here you have skills, where we have the ticket selling speed at level 3, and also here the traits once again. And here you have a job assignment, which is very important in combination with the skills. Because for example, if you say you have someone with ticket sales level 3, you want that person to work in the ticket booth. If you have someone that is made happy by working in a gift shop, then you want that person to work in the gift shop. And that way you can organize your employees and your staff to work the jobs they are best at and that you actually want them to do. That being said, you shouldn't be too strict on it, because they will take breaks and sometimes they will have to make up for each other, or you have some people that work multiple jobs. In the end, it's up to you. This is just a very important screen, the job assignment, to make sure if you have specialists, highly trained ones, use them to the best of their ability. And that way you can definitely improve it. If you can see someone like here is very unhappy because no drinks, no food, no toilet comfort, you can always just send them on a break, have them take care of these things. Just make sure you have someone else to take on the job. Another important tab to get going is the finances. And down here you can see the finances. And on this you have your overview, which is interesting to know, but in the end, to get started, not the most important one. However, if you are struggling in the beginning to get going, the second screen might be helpful, which is the loan. Loans help you get started. You can see here you can take different amounts depending on your museum level, and that can just help you get going, get a couple of exhibits, get the guests coming in, and then just pay it back and really get going early on. It's probably not necessary for this one right at the start, but it can be necessary in later ones, or if you want to make many changes right off the bat. Very important, and something that I definitely recommend, is the sponsorship. You can see here you have 2 sponsorships available at the start. Please take them. It definitely helps getting some additional monthly pay every month. and that helps really getting up the finances early on. Here you can already see a lifetime 40,000 and 100,000 in bonus revenue. Definitely worth it. Then another thing, very important, are the prices. They start smack dab in the middle, and you can definitely increase that. Fair is a value the guests are still comfortable with. Here, good value, guests feel the current price is worth the money. You can probably go up a little bit to go to fair if you need the money. If you don't need the money, you can always consider dropping the price a little bit. If you say I have more than enough money, that improves the rating of the guests. So if you need to up the rating of the guests, you can drop the prices a little bit or make your museum better, of course. And on the last, you have the graphs. The graphs are interesting. You can split that by months and years. However, one thing that needs to be said is there is no axis here. So you just have here 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And this one looks dramatic. But if you actually hover over 70%, 71, 72, 71, 70. So it's not like this is a huge up and down. It's actually hovering between 70 and 72%. So really just check what is the graph even saying, because it sometimes looks way over the place, although there's basically no change. Something that is kind of interesting if you are struggling with the cash is the overall outgoings, the staff wages, loan repayments we have none, but just knowing that how the staff wages are changing. And something that I found very interesting was how did the staff wages, or how did the overall outgoings go compared to the overall income, because that is in the end what you want to improve, is the outgoings against the income. You want to increase your income by more than your outgoings, and in this case you can see, okay, the income has increased more and more and the outgoings have stayed relatively the same. If you check it this, it's mainly the staff wages, and if you can keep the wages at relatively the same, just increasing a little bit by adding 1 or 2 people or giving them 1 or 2 more skills, and you can increase the income more and more, this just really skyrockets your profit that you are making. And you have so many here that you can click on, just explore it, what might help and what might not. But that finance tab, especially the sponsorship, is highly important. Another tab worth mentioning is a visualization tab. If you click on it down here, there are several useful ones here. The most useful, in my opinion, early on in the game is the exhibit bars. Everything else to get started is not that important, but the exhibit bars is very important. Because here you can see how well stacked up your exhibits are. You can also check for which ones need improvement. For example, this one, when you can click on it, you can hover over here and you can see near a standing tusk. And then you can go to the decorations, find a standing tusk. You can even search for it. Here you have a standing tusk. I actually removed that. And now there is someone standing here. But yeah, I actually removed that to showcase the effect. And here you see it, buzz increased. Now you fulfill that requirement. And all of a sudden it's already better, making people more excited. And we're going to donate more. And it's just steamrolling from that on. And there you can just look at exhibit per exhibit and see, okay, what do they need? How can I improve that? It's usually a combination of the decorations plus a specific bonus that you have and the quality. And if you combine all of it, you can maximize the buzz, really maximizing the profit in the end. So this screen, definitely one of the more important ones, especially if you move exhibits around throughout the game, because it's getting bigger and bigger, you have more and more things to display, and you might be changing rooms, changing your layout, and all of a sudden the bonuses might no longer be applying the same way as before. This is an easy way to check it. So while the game and its tutorial already teach you some of the things like placing items, building rooms, or changing the building foundations, like drawing walls, for example, here you can place the walls, change the wallpapers and the floors. All of these things are explained by the game. Just click through, check what you can do, check which floors are suiting you, check which wallpapers are suiting you to create little areas to your liking. There's really no right or wrong here. Just make sure you look at the bonuses, you get that settled in, but in the end 100 people might be playing this and you get 100 different museums. So just explore what you like, place it as you like. There are so many ways to play this correctly in a way, or at least successfully, that there is really no right or wrong when it comes to the design of your museum. However, there's this one last thing, and I would really like to mention that before you get started on your first star and on your journey into the game, and that is you can actually change these buildings. You probably started with a building like this, and you were wondering, well, I'm getting exhibit after exhibit and the place is running out. What do I do? Well, fear not. You can actually edit the building. You just click in the building. You can click edit the building or do it here. And when you immediately start with that plus button, with a right click you can switch, or on the side here you can add or subtract. And then you can increase the size of a building. For example, like this. Complete the room and you have more. Unfortunately, you then still have to go to the customization. You can copy what you already have. Unfortunately, it doesn't copy what you had before, but that's really only a minor issue. And then you can increase the size of the building more and more to make more room, to really showcase everything that you find. What I can say is it's a little bit easier if you keep sending people to these expeditions and you get the pristine quality exhibits. You get a lot more money, and that of course makes it easier to then come back later in the game. We will look at that maybe in a future video, to get the second and the third star, because you have such a huge setup with all of that money already waiting for you. And that is definitely going to be of an advantage, to not just rush through to the second museum or just as quickly as possible complete your tasks. Sometimes it pays off to put a little bit more effort and a little bit more time into it. Maybe start another expedition to some place where you already have the rewards but not in the pristine quality yet. So that's some basic things that you might want to know or that might be useful to you when you start the game. The rest of it is really explained step by step as you go along. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you find some of these things rather useful. And we will hopefully see each other with some more detailed things regarding other museums, other mechanics that are coming later in the game. But I definitely hope this helps you get started, get your first steps in the game. And until next time, farewell.